So, welcome friends. We will discuss in this class the river systems of India. Now, we will begin by the Indus system. So, this is our master map. We can see that the river has been highlighted along with all its tributaries. Now, when we seek its location on an atlas, we can see that how after its origination it passes through in between the Zanskar and Ladakh range, and then while cutting deep gorges it then enters into Pakistan. So about the Indus River, it originates in the Tibet in the vicinity of Lake Mansarovar, which we know it's a revered place, both Hindus and Buddhists. It's about close to 3,000 kilometers long, and its 5 tributaries meet it at Mithankot in Pakistan. So what is being referred to here is like these tributaries joined together into one river, which is called Panjnad. We can know why it is called Panjnad, and then Mithankot is somewhere around here, just south of this. So important cities located on its bank are Gilgit and Leh. It's important. Leh is it's strategically very important. It's also an upcoming tourist place. Now about the blind river dolphin, we know that it is now confined to the Indian subcontinent. Earlier it was also found, and there are maybe rare instances it would be found in the fresh waters of Amazon or Nile, and now mostly it is being conserved in the Ganga rivers, the Vikramshila Dolphin Sanctuary. Now tributaries, let's talk about Shyok. So Shyok, the name is derived from the Hindi word Shok. It is also called the river of sorrow, probably because the path it takes is very rugged, and people find it very difficult to follow along its path. So we can see it traces a peculiar path which is opposite to the Indus River for quite some time. Then we can also see there's a feeder stream which leads it to Pangong Tso, and then the river takes a sharp bend and it continues where it then joins the Indus River. So it's a right bank tributary which originates in the Depsang Plain, which is one of the 4 plains of the J&K state. We can remember this Remo Glacier, which is the tongue glacier of Siachen, and the river flows along the Karakoram range. In fact, it forms the eastern limit of Karakoram range. It refers to this point where it encloses and the Karakoram range ends. So it can help us in accurately pinpointing the Karakoram range. It is fed by various glaciers, important among them being the Siachen Glacier, and it completely lies between J&K. Now Nubra is a tributary of Shyok River. When we follow its path, it has not been represented properly here. It should be somewhere around here. So along these regions, the atlas is not very clear in the details. So we can see that really this is where the Nubra River comes, and then it again takes a turn and joins the Shyok River. So it originates from Nubra Glacier near Sasir La Pass, which we can see over here, and then it joins the Shyok River over here, and it lies at the base of Ladakh range, and the catchment area is devoid of vegetation and human habitation. Obviously we can know because it's completely glacial. We know that somewhere around here we have this Siachen Glacier where the forward post of Indian Army is there. Now Shigar, it's another tributary which originates from the Hipsar Glacier and joins the Indus as Skardu. Somewhere around here the river should have been. You can draw it. So it has not been represented, so we didn't highlighted it. Now since it descends down very steep slopes, we can understand that its catchment is influenced by glacial action, and some of the glacial valleys we can see along its course. Gilgit River marked along over here. We can see how it comes and joins the Indus River near Punji, and this is the place where one of the deepest gorges is formed by Indus River. So it's another right bank tributary, completely located in the POK. In fact, this name Gilgit comes from the name of the political region. This region is also called Gilgit-Baltistan. It is under the occupation of Pakistan. So when we remember that political location, it is easier for us to remember the location of the river. Bunji is the main human settlement located along this river, and two further tributaries are Gizar and Hunza. Gizar and Hunza. Hunza is located westwards. It joins Gilgit first, and then further downstream we have the river Gizar. So quickly looking across it, it flows southeast and cuts across the Karakoram range, forming a spectacular gorge, joins Indus upstream of Bunji, and important feeder glacial streams are Chapursan, Gujar Sahib and Shimshal. The feeder streams, the glaciers which melt and provide water to it. Then Gizar, it's somewhere around here. This would be the first stream, this would be the second stream. So it formed from a glacier north of the Karakoram range, rises as the Kunjarab. The entire catchment is bleak and dissolute because suddenly it would have a lot of water, so we cannot actually pinpoint where it receives its water from. So various activities, because we can see that most of these rivers are in their young stages and no human settlement. The area is very thinly populated. Let's come out the Zaskar River, which is marked over here. We can see completely within the J&K territory. Zaskar River, it cuts across the Zaskar mountain ranges. Now we're talking about the left bank tributary of Indus, flowing between the Zaskar and the Ladakh range. So if we have to mark, we can see how this is the Ladakh range and this is the Zaskar range, and it flows along with it, joining the Indus. Now Jhelum, we know that it is one of the important rivers of J&K, central to the life of J&K. So this is the Jhelum River. We know Vular Lake lies along its path, and because it lies along its path, both the river as well as the lake has some peculiar characteristics. The river shows depositional characteristics quite early in its stage, in the, we can say, the upper stage or the young stage, and the lake also is a little different. Now it rises from Verinag, located on the foothill of Peel Panjal in southeast Kashmir. This place is important. It is the main river of Kashmir Valley, as Srinagar is located along its bank. It has some tributaries such as Kishan Ganga, Lidar, Sindh, Pohru. For 170 kilometers, it forms the boundary between India and Pakistan, which we can see over here. But this area now is under occupation of POK. The Muzaffarabad is the main town which lies in that region. In fact, this whole region is called Mirpur Muzaffarabad region. Then it first joins the Chenab and eventually joins Indus at Mithankot, the Panchnath that we had seen. And we know that being a western river, its water, 80% of the water is allocated to Pakistan. Let us talk about Kishan Ganga River. Kishan Ganga is also known as the Neelam River, especially when it enters Pakistan. It carves out a very scenic valley, the Neelam Valley. So we can see the Kishan Ganga River. It also forms a boundary. So it's a tributary of Jhelum River which rises at Dras in the Kargil district. And important project, the Kishan Ganga Run of the River project, is located on this bank. It was started almost a decade and a half back, but due to the opposition of the Pakistan, the work has been going on off and on. Recently, the World Bank had stepped in to mediate between the project, which India had opposed, although the Indus Water Treaty, as we know, is governed largely along the World Bank's this thing. So World Bank stepped in, but that was not the correct way. Firstly, India and Pakistan should have tried to dissolve the dispute bilaterally, and if that is not done, then World Bank was supposed to step in. So India opposed, and thankfully the matter is now within the perspective of India and Pakistan. So it is also famous for ice, cold water and trout fish, which are important. We can say that not only an economic activity, but it also influences the culture, because food is very closely related to the culture. Now, Chenab River, it has been marked as this river, which we can highlight. If we observe how it flows, we can look across the major cities that are located, Doda, Ramban. In fact, if you guys have traveled to Vaishno Devi and have climbed to the summit of that mountain, you can see the Chenab Valley from there. So it originates near Baralachala Pass as two head streams, Chandra and Bhaga, along the sides of the pass, and these streams unite and they are then known as Chandra Bhaga River, and we can understand why this name has come. It means Indus at Panjnath, which is the same story with most of these rivers. The important habitations located are Doda, Kishtawar and Ramban. The important projects, Salal, Baglihar and Dulhasti, and we would know that these would be the run of the river projects, because again it is one of the river whose waters are mainly allocated to Pakistan. Let's talk about the Ravi River, which is this river marked along here. So we see it originates near the Rohtang Pass and then it travels along. We can loot important habitations that are located, important hill stations. So it rises in the Kullu Hills near Rohtang Pass. It flows between the Pir Panjal and Dhauladhar ranges, which we can see they have clearly represented. So this would be the Dhauladhar range, which is in Himachal, and then the Pir Panjal range. This river also forms a deep gorge like most of the rivers, because we know that the topography of the region is such that most of the rivers are in their young stages. Important cities are Chamba and Kathua, and an important project, the Ranjit Sagar Dam project, also previously known as the Thain Dam, is located along this river. This river also forms a boundary between Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir, and then goes on to form the boundary between India and Pakistan. We know when we studied the frontiers and boundaries that rivers and mountains, etc., they form easily geographical boundaries and are maintainable boundaries, and hence many of the international boundary also runs along across them. Let us come to the river Satluj. It has been marked along here. You can see. So we can see it enters India through the Shipkila Pass, then through the cities that are located, Rampur, and then it comes on, and as soon as it enters the plains, we know that it has been dammed, because this river is supposed to be utilized, the waters are supposed to be utilized by India. It is the southernmost major tributary of Indus, originating from the Rakas Lake and entering through the Shipkila Pass. In fact, there are other passes through which the river streams which feed into the Satluj which enter. So we can say that it doesn't completely enter through Shipkila, but through other passes and regions also. The important projects that are located are Nathpa Jhakri. It is located about 45 kilometers north of Rampur that we had seen. It's about 1500 megawatt hydropower project. So for a hydropower project, it's really a big project and a pride of India. Bhakra Nangal project we are all aware of. Then Bapsa Hydel scheme. About 40 to 45 different hydropower projects are located along the course of the river. The important tributaries are Byas, Spiti and Parikshu. Let's talk about Byas. Marked as over here. This river also originates near where Ravi river originates. So it also rises near Rohtang Pass in HP and meets Satluj at Harike. Pong Reservoir in Himachal Pradesh. It is located on this river. This also forms a deep gorge in the Dhauladhar range. Earlier we had seen that Ravi river which flows between the Dhauladhar and Pir Panjal range. And Manali, if you would have visited Manali, you would definitely have seen this river, which is very, it appears like a small stream, but is really very beautiful. Then the further tributary, the Spiti river, it originates from the one of the ends of the near the borders of India with China in the Lahaul and Spiti region. The region is very important for geological deposits. So here we can see along the northeastern corner we have the Lahaul and Spiti region. It is completely found in its northeastern corner. Further, it is fed by a number of different streams, Parikshu, Rohtang, Surahi, Henze, etc. It is at Kinnor that it meets with the Satluj. And like many rivers of that region, its flow greatly varies, although all of them are perennial rivers, but during the rainy season, the flow becomes really dangerous. Parikshu river, again a substream, very small stream, so we'll quickly glance across it. So it's a right bank tributary of Satluj which originates from near the Somoriri lake. It flows through Tibet and meets the Satluj after the Shipkila Pass. So definitely we see it is one of the streams which enters through another different pass and then joins the Satluj river. Again, its flow is also variable. So now talking about the Brahmaputra system. So one very important aspect about this Brahmaputra system is that we would observe that while most of the streams or the rivers of India are named as female rivers, it is Brahmaputra that is given a masculine name. So this is our master map again, the Brahmaputra river, and we know that Brahmaputra is known by 4 different names. Firstly, it's known as the Sangpo river or Yalung Sangpo river. Then it's also known as the Dihang river, then the Brahmaputra river, and then where it enters it's known as the Meghna river, which along with Ganga, which is called Jamuna, forms the Padma river. So we can see how Brahmaputra goes. It's a grand river, one of the highest volumes of water it has. So let's talk about it. It rises in the Chemundang Glacier in Kailash range and joins the Padma in Bangladesh. It's also known as Sangpo in Tibet. It forms the largest riverine island in the world, which is the Majuli Island, and this place has now been declared as an district. So it has become a river island district of India. And we would also know about the projects that the Indian government has launched to understand the Brahmaputra floods and the ecosystem threats which this river island is facing. So we've seen it has the largest volume of river. It's also known for floods. So we will see its right bank tributaries from west to east for simplification. Let us begin with Tista. It's also in news. So there's a high probability of such entries being asked. So the river originates from Sikkim. It rises in Tibet. It rises somewhere around Tibet, and it flows through Sikkim and West Bengal while joining the Brahmaputra in Bangladesh. So up to 1787, it was a tributary of Ganga River, and then there was a flood, after which it diverted eastwards. Another river which comes from almost the same region, the Kosi River, also carries along with it a lot of silt and is known as the sorrow of Bihar because it causes devastating floods. Similar we can understand because it flows to a similar region, so similar kind of rock strata which is prone to erosion, so the river would be full of sediments, and such rivers are often prone to flooding. So it's an antecedent river. You know what antecedent river are? The river channel existed before the topography even took shape. The river forms a boundary between West Bengal and Sikkim. Over here. Then the tributaries of this river, the Rangit River, it has been marked over here, which joins just near the boundary with Bangladesh, where you have this important, very famous hill station, Kalimpong, which is located. It is the largest river of Sikkim and a tributary of Tista. It's famous for rafters owing to its turbulent waters, and forms the boundary between Sikkim and West Bengal, as we saw, near Kalimpong, and has a 60 megawatt electricity plant. That is, these rivers, even in the Bhutan and Nepal, it is mainly the Indian ventures that are engaged in trapping the hydropower projects and then supplying power to both the countries. Then let's talk about the second tributary, that is Sankosh River. It has been shown as here, highlighted. So it is also known as Gadadhar, Moshu, and Swarnakosh. So an important tributary of Brahmaputra which rises in Bhutan and joins the Brahmaputra near the Indo-Bangladesh border. It forms the boundary between West Bengal and Assam. This is important because many people fail to distinguish where West Bengal ends and where Assam begins. So it is this river that for a major portion forms the boundary, and we had earlier seen why rivers are preferred as boundary and what kind of problems they can create. For example, shifting streams and other river islands which can come along, they can create boundary disputes. So third is the Manas River, along very important. So the river comes from the mythological Hindu goddess Mansa Devi. It's another important right bank tributary which joins Brahmaputra opposite to the Golpara. You can see most of these places were earlier river ports, important river ports that were located both on the north and south bank of Brahmaputra along the cities we would see. So it's near Golpara that Manas River joins, and it flows through the Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, and in Bhutan, it is the Royal Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, and both are continuous. So we can also note that NH31, which is, you can say, the lifeline of Northeast, passes over it, linking Bongaigaon, another trading town, with Nalbari. Let's talk about Kameng. We can see its origin closely follows the India-Bhutan boundary over here. Atlas location. So it rises near the Indo-Tibet border in Arunachal Pradesh and joins Brahmaputra a few kilometers downstream of Tezpur, an important mythological place, very important place in the history of Assam. It forms the boundary between the Eagle Nest Sanctuary and the Pakke Tiger Reserve. It's an important tiger reserve of Arunachal Pradesh. It also received the Biodiversity Award in 2016 for its Hornbill Nest Adoption Program. It separates the Akka Hills from the Dafla Hills. It's not very clearly can be pinpointed here, but we should remember this point. Most of the rivers that actually flow, they divide the set of hills, and because of the divisions that they have created, we can find the different tribes that are living along these hills have a slightly different culture, because these rivers in some way or the other added as a separation or limited the interaction of the tribes, leading to the development of certain peculiarities in their cultures and languages. Now Subansiri. Subansiri river has been located, marked over here. Again a Tibetan river over here. How we can note that it flows between the Abhor Hills and Miri Hills, and we can also note Daporiji, an important town located along its flow. So then we have an important right bank tributary which joins the Brahmaputra near Majuli Islands, separates that we saw in the atlas. A tributary of the river is Kamala River. So here it's the Majuli Island. It's not visible in this photograph, but this is one stream of Brahmaputra and this is the other stream where it forms the Majuli Island. Now let us focus on the right bank tributaries. Firstly, Dibang, sorry. So this is the river which is marked, Dibang. Brahmaputra river till it comes to Pasighat, it is also known as Dihang. The gorge that is cut by it is also known as Dihang Gorge. And after Pasighat, it's almost that it enters the plains. So we can visualize Pasighat as the Haridwar. What is Haridwar for Ganga? Pasighat is for Brahmaputra. So we can see Dibang or Sikiang. It flows along and it joins along with Lohit. It forms a river tri-junction where all the three rivers have a junction. So like the three river junction, we had the Ganga, Jamuna, Saraswati in Allahabad. You can also see an example of this. So Dibang River, it flows through the Mishmi Hills, forms a tri-junction in northeast Assam, along with Dehang and Lohit. The important cities that are located are Tezu and Parshuram Kund. This place, which is Tezu, has an important Air Force base, the forward base of the Air Force. Then Lohit River, marked over here. So as we had seen, joins along this tri-junction. It originates in the eastern Tibet and forms a tri-junction that we had seen. Now Burhi Dibing over here, marked. So this is the atlas position of the river as it goes, which has been highlighted, not properly marked, but this is how we can mark it. So it's a left bank tributary of Brahmaputra which rises from the Patkai bumps in Arunachal Pradesh. So since we are familiar with this hills, we can mark the origin of the river, and we know that it would join Brahmaputra just downstream before the Majuli Island, downstream of Dibrugarh town. And important towns that are located are Naharkatia and Digboi. And we know that these places are important for petroleum. These places are important for petroleum. So just downstream of Dibrugarh and just before Majuli, the river joins Brahmaputra, and it has its origin in the Patkai Bum Hills. Then Dikhu River. Most of these are very small rivers, but we should take a glance at all of them for a sense of completeness. Dikhu River. Again, it has been marked like this. So if you have an atlas, you can mark this river. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to locate on an atlas. So it rises from the Naga Hills and joins the Brahmaputra to the south of the Majuli Island. So we have an important distinction that this river would join somewhere around south of the Majuli Island, not after that island ends, but south of the main stream. Important city that is located is Shivsagar. Now Dhansiri, this is the stream that has been marked, Dhansiri River. So we can see if it is difficult to mark, we would note some important points. For example, the settlements that are located close to where it joins Brahmaputra, or approximate location from the Majuli Island, which can be made out. So it rises from the Barail ranges, which are located in Assam, and joins Brahmaputra just downstream of the Majuli Island. It flows east of the Rengma Hills. You know, Rengma Hills, the Naga, it's one of the Naga tribes, and the Mikir Hills, it's one of the tribe of Arunachal Pradesh, where the Kaziranga National Park is situated. So we can also be asked an objective question, because this is a very important national park, famous for Indian rhinos, one-horned rhinos, and it forms a boundary between Assam and Nagaland. So it again becomes an important question. The Dhansiri River forms a boundary between Assam and Nagaland. So over here you can see for some portion, for a little bit of some portion, it forms a boundary, but then that can help us in marking the river, because we can on an approximate India map know where the Nagaland ends and Assam actually begins. The important cities that are located are Dimapur and Kolaghat. So quickly, the Kopili River marked along here. Again, it has been shown in the atlas. So you have the Kopili River, which through several streams then joins the Brahmaputra, several feeder streams. It's the largest south bank tributary of Brahmaputra in Assam, originates in the Meghalaya plateau and flows through central Assam. So if we closely observe, a certain kind of drainage pattern can be seen, and you can analyze it, what kind of it is, and why such a drainage system is being formed, by understanding the location of Meghalaya plateau. The Kopili flow irrigation scheme in Kamrup district is located on this. Kamrup is an important region of Assam. Ancient India, this region actually also referred to as Assam, modern Assam. And we can also mention this, that the open cast coal mining in the upper reaches of Meghalaya has led to the acidification of the river, and it's affecting the ecology and the ecology of the river, as well as we know that it joins the Brahmaputra stream and since the river receives a lot of rainfall, so definitely it would have a large area where it would flood. So it would affect a very wide region. The effect would not be localized. So that's it. Thank you.